My top line has been 1.5 because I believe in my heart that what we can do and what the needs we have right now and what we can afford to do without basically changing our whole society to an entitlement mentality.
There is a budget battle on Capitol Hill underway tonight, and Senator Joe Manchin says he's the only Democrat standing between you and higher prices at the grocery store and gas pump. The battle over trillions of dollars in spending and what it means for you.
There's so much that I learned from Katie Couric. And I'll be honest with you, it saddens me that we couldn't collaborate. It saddens me that she didn't want to mentor me.
A revelation from Katie Couric, her insecurity toward younger female journalists, including News Nation's own Ashley Banfield. We'll hear Ashley. She'll join us live coming up. And you're looking at the red, white, and blue. But what if the American flag were redesigned today? What would it look like? Would Americans even want it changed? We'll get one veteran's take on that. Great to have you with us. Live from Chicago, the Donlin Report starts right now. Good evening. Great to have you with us. We are paying more for everyday things like gas, milk, and eggs. And that is the pulse of America tonight. Take a look at these price hikes. Gas is at $3.19 a gallon on average in America, up $1 from a year ago. That's 46% higher in the past year. Eggs are also way up. And bacon, get a load of this, bacon now at record highs. And that is why the Democrats can't seem to come together tonight on a massive $3.5 trillion spending plan. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is holding up the president's agenda right now, and some will certainly argue for good reason. He's worried about those rising prices, adding $1.5 trillion in spending, still a really big number by his standards. That's what he says his ceiling would be. And it's plenty, he says, but no one should be surprised by his position.
I've never been a liberal in any way, shape, or the form. There's no one has ever thought I was. We have to elect more, I guess, for them to get theirs, elect more liberals. But I'm not asking them to change. I'm willing to come from 0 to 1.5.
Senator Manchin today even referred to a story we covered here last night about Dollar Tree, often the only store within miles of many rural communities, changing it to $1.25 or $1.50. Because of inflation. That's what's happening at the stores, and that hits people in his state and the rest of the country, raising prices above $1. Just don't take it from a politician, though. Che Huang, the CEO of Boxed, which sells bulk items online, told us the same thing last night on this broadcast.
Definitely, we're seeing kind of inflation across the board these days, and so labor's a big input into that, raw materials. So certainly we're seeing a really high inflationary environment.
This is why the Democrats are so divided about spending. President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, and progressives say they want to fundamentally change the country with this spending bill, which is loaded with a lot of government programs that critics say provide cradle-to-grave entitlements, a far cry from the Democratic Party from 25 years ago.
From now on, our nation's answer to this great social challenge will no longer be a never-ending cycle of welfare. It will be the dignity, the power, and the ethic of work. Today we are taking an historic chance to make welfare what it was meant to be, a second chance, not a way of life.
So Senator Joe Manchin, hanging on to those democratic values held by President Clinton in 1996, he's now considered such a moderate Democrat that some say he might as well be a Republican. No matter, for now, he is the most powerful Joe, not only in D.C., but possibly the world. Manchin, that is. Not Biden. And with that, let's welcome in Mike Vaccaro, News Nation's Washington bureau chief, who's on Capitol Hill right now, and also Julia Manchester, national political reporter at our partner, The Hill. Mike, let's start with you. You've been watching all of this unfold, both of you have, but is it possible that Joe Manchin unilaterally changes the number on this spending plan?
Well, on the surface, certainly Joe Manchin is the one who's out there. Joe Manchin has a lot to gain politically in a state like West Virginia, Joe, which has gone from a full Democratic delegation in my time here in Washington since 1998 to him being the last Democrat standing in that state, and that includes 3 House seats and 2 Senate seats. Look, those who are criticizing Joe Manchin on the left and say he might as well be a Republican better be careful what they wish for, because if that were to happen, and it's not unheard of for senators to switch in the middle of a closely divided Senate, then Mitch McConnell would be the majority leader, because the Senate right now is evenly divided, 50-50, with the vice president casting the deciding vote. So Joe Manchin, yeah, he's the one who's most out there. Kyrsten Sinema, another one from Arizona, from a state that is actually trending blue. She's a much more curious case. But there are other moderates or centrists or whatever you want to call them within the Senate Democratic caucus, within the House Democratic caucus, who are perfectly willing to let Joe Manchin go out there. It's to his political benefit in a state like West Virginia, but there is a lot of reluctance to go along with a $3.5 trillion spending plan, Joe.
Yeah, and a lot of people were wondering what Manchin's ceiling number was. We found out today, $1.5 trillion. Julia, the question is, will Manchin be there in the end? Wherever this number ends up, will it be enough, I guess, for progressives to go along with it?
You know, it's hard to say, Joe. I think right now there's just a divide within the party as to how high this ceiling for this spending package should be. Look, we see Joe Manchin talking about this $1 trillion number for next year. But the fact of the matter is there are progressives in the House saying we need to vote on this spending package, you know, before we vote on this infrastructure package. And we want it to be $3.5 trillion. So I think what you're seeing now on Capitol Hill is a real ideological difference playing out between the Democratic Party, which we've really seen brewing for a while. And we're over a year out from the midterms, Joe, but I could see this really, these next couple of days really impacting potentially the outcome of those midterms. You know, you have these progressives really pushing for this big spending package, but the issue is you also have these moderates that Mike mentioned, such as Josh Gottheimer, for example, you know, Elaine Luria, maybe in Virginia, more moderate Democrats who aren't necessarily shoo-ins for saying they want a $3.5 trillion and your spending package, and you're seeing Republican groups targeting these moderate Democrats, essentially pressuring them to support a smaller bill. So this is going to have real implications for 2022.
Yeah, Mike, I think the stakes are clearly high, as Julia mentions there. And wherever, again, this vote comes down, and whether it's infrastructure tonight, we'll talk about that again in a minute, but there is really no margin for error for Democrats here.
No margin for error whatsoever, Joe. 50 Senate, as we mentioned. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, she's known as a legislative wizard. Just look at the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. What was it, 11 years ago when it passed? She pulled a rabbit out of the hat last time she was Speaker of the House and got that passed. She's got 3 votes to play with, 3 Democrats that she can lose on the House side. That's the margin there. And Democrats are very wary, very skittish. A lot of those moderates that Julia's talking about, worried about the re-election campaign coming up in just a year, the next midterm elections. Democrats, many of them thinking, yes, it's almost inevitable that we are going to lose the House. And ironically, that's what's fueling the progressive drive to do this. Do this now, say the progressives. This is a once-in-a-generation chance. It's not going to come again. We have a Democratic president. Democrats control the Senate, and they control the House. Let's push forward and get these long-held Democratic goals passed, Joe.
Nancy Pelosi, Julia, also said that she would bring this infrastructure bill for a vote on the House floor today. I guess because it hasn't happened yet, maybe it still will. Is that an indication that clearly she doesn't have the votes to pass it?
You know, it very well could be. You know, hearing some Democratic lawmakers talk about the process and whether this will be brought to the floor, there is skepticism as to whether there's enough votes. And you're really seeing, I think, the power of the progressive caucus here and really holding up that package. So, you know, it very well could happen. The day is still relatively young at this point, but she's running out of time, and Democrats are running out of time.
By the way, Mike, quickly, we did avoid a government shutdown today, right? At least the Congress did accomplish something.
Yeah, look at that, Joe. Yeah, you know, it's a measure of dysfunction of the legislative process in American politics that the fact that they were passing the basic function of this Congress or any Congress is to pass appropriations bills, the spending bills that keep the government running. That this is a cause for celebration, that they kicked the can down the road for just 9 more weeks, and then we're going to be right back here in another fiscal game of chicken.
Well, we'll continue to watch, and certainly here on News Nation as the night progresses, we'll see if that vote moves anywhere in the House. Washington's our bureau chief there, Mike Becerra, and the Hill's national political reporter, Julia Manchester. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Let's get back to rising prices now. A buck might not get you what you want from a dollar store anymore, but that's certainly not all. A new report from technology company Salesforce says prices this holiday season could be as much as 20% higher than last year, including for toys, meaning we will likely pay more for gifts and possibly buy fewer as a result. And in a survey of restaurant owners, 91% are reporting that food costs are higher. And more than 8 in 10 are saying staffing certainly costs more, not to mention the fact that we've had problems finding workers. Restaurants certainly feeling the pinch already. Pleased to have Joseph Smith with us, the owner of Bobby Van's Steakhouse in New York and also Washington, D.C. Joins us now. Joseph, more than half of restaurants are saying things are actually worse now for them than they were a few months ago. Are you seeing that?
Well, like you said, it's staffing, and as far as pricing goes, everything has gone up. You're sort of hoping that they'll order a bowl of pasta instead of a steak because you're making no money off the steak.
Oh.
The prices have gone up 25%. Staffing is, with the $300 and their unemployment, they find work in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Long Island, so they don't have to commute into the city. Yes, I think that will end come Christmas time because the people will want to come back into the city. But right now, the buildings in the business world that I'm in, I'm an expensive restaurant. I deal to the bosses. They're not coming into work. I'm across the street now from Barclays on 50th Street. There are 20% in the building. 20%. Some people are coming in for 2 days. The most are coming in is for 3 days. You can't sustain a business on this. And then the cruncher was when Dumb, who got rid of Dummer being the governor and the mayor of this fine city, the governor is gone. Now he needs to take Dummer with him in 5 or 6 weeks.
Okay. You're talking about the vaccine mandate, right? And requiring that to get into the restaurants?
Yes, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
I just had $1.6 million in cancellations and parties, events that were booked from out of town.
Right.
Not local, from out of town that were coming to the city. And if I lost those bookings because of the vaccine and having to prove you were vaccinated, if there was a party of 40 coming from North Carolina and 4 of them weren't vaccinated, they were not going to come, so they canceled the event.
Yeah. Well, I know
now,
you've been
if
on.
they canceled it on me.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you've been on the front lines of the mandate angle, and I know you're also, I'm curious about your frontline position in this inflation and the prices going up as well, Joseph. If business is down, why are prices going up? Can you explain that?
Well, because they didn't breed enough steers in the farms and back out west because they couldn't sell the cattle. So what was the point in breeding them? They left it behind. You can't get anything at all anymore because they haven't been working for a year and a half. That's why they're telling you, lump crab meat, which is one of my better dishes,
right.
It's $58 a pound. It went from 24 to 58. I had to take it off the menu. I couldn't afford to charge to buy it. And there's only so high you can go on your pricing before you price yourself out.
Right. Well, I'm wondering, Joseph, if what you're dealing with and going through right now is what the rest of us will be feeling 3 months from now. We will certainly see, but it's been an interesting insight into what you're dealing with there in New York. Joseph Smith, Bobby Van's Steakhouse owner. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Facebook, grilled on Capitol Hill, coming up the bipartisan tongue lashing from senators on scathing accusations. The social media giant knows Instagram is harmful to teenage girls.
Instagram is that first childhood cigarette.
We will also take you live to Brian Laundrie's parents' house, where the FBI just went inside again today. Details on the case and the latest from our Brian Enton coming up. And don't forget to follow us on social media at The Donlin Report on Twitter. Facebook stared down the barrel of some of its most vocal critics in the Senate today over Instagram's damaging effects on teens. This hearing follows an explosive expose in the Wall Street Journal last week that said Facebook has known for years that its photo sharing app has caused mental and emotional harm. Senators repeatedly scolded Davis and Facebook for not trying to reduce the downsides and withholding its damaging internal research. Here's some of the bipartisan blistering.
Facebook knows the destructive consequences that Instagram's design and algorithms are having on our young people and our society, but it has routinely prioritized its own rapid growth over basic safety for our children.
You've lost the trust, and we do not trust you with influencing our children.
Instagram is that first childhood cigarette meant to get teens hooked early, exploiting the peer pressure of popularity, and ultimately endangering their health.
Let's bring in business and tech journalist Shibani Joshi. Well, they unloaded Shibani. I guess the question on the way out is, will anything change?
Hi there, Joe. Yeah, certainly a tense room in that hearing today. And from what we've heard so far out of Facebook, what the company is willing to do is take a pause on the whole Instagram Lite, the whole Instagram Kids project. But a lot of people, including myself, think that this is kind of a publicity stunt where this is something that the company is being forced to do. And eventually they will roll out a kid-friendly app because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, I know several platforms are. I want to play a clip from this and get your comments after, Shibani. This is one of the responses from Antigone Davis, the official from Facebook today.
We strongly disagree with how this reporting characterized our work, so we want to be clear about what the research shows and what it does not show. The research showed that many teens say that Instagram is helping them with hard issues that are so common to being a teen.
So that may be the case for some, Shibani, but we all know now their own internal documents show it can be bad for teens. It makes us angrier. And I guess the thing that caught my attention was that she was reminded several times today that she was under oath.
Yeah, you know, what you're pointing to, Joe, is the very intricate nature of social media. We love it and we hate it. We can't get through life without it, but we also know, and we're learning more about the detrimental effects that it has. In fact, 22 million teens log on to Instagram every single day. This is just it's no longer a trend. It is a function of life that is here to stay. What Facebook did very astutely is maintain its party line, its company line, trying to basically undermine the research, saying, yes, there might be negative effects, but it does not take into account the full potential positives that it has on kids. And frankly, I think the tech industry as a whole has been very lax in terms of protecting children. And this is what not just Facebook has done, all the big companies have done in terms of protecting children and their online safety.
Speaking of blistering, Shibani, there was a whistleblower who will be on 60 Minutes who says profit outweighs safety on Facebook. I mean, of all the things we sort of knew, that statement is pretty scary. What does that say to you?
Well, Joe, this is a company that is being driven by advertising. We think about it as something to connect our lives, to maybe enrich our lives, and maybe, for our kids, we're concerned about the negative social effects. But this company is an advertising company at heart, in the same way Google is when you put in your search results. And so we cannot lose sight of this. I mean, even though it is a personal product, our pictures, our kids' pictures are on there. The company is motivated by a bottom line. It is a publicly traded company. It has targets and milestones to reach every single quarter. And the way it's going to do that is by innovating with products, which is not easy to do, takes a long time to build the next big thing, and then bring on new users. And that's exactly why they have their eyes set on teens and tweens and kids.
Do you think any of this will have an impact, Shibani, on users, or are we just so addicted to it and so connected to it that we'll all just move on from this? Or do you think people will unplug as a result?
I don't know, Joe. You know, as sort of a cynic and someone who cares very much deeply about the issue of privacy, not just for myself, but for my children, this is something that just makes me hyper sensitive, hyper alert. But again, the trend and the reality is that social media is here to stay. And as soon as, you know, we start to impose bigger clamps on these companies, something else is going to come up that escapes our regulation, escapes the rules, and then we're going to be chasing it again. So, you know, I'm not that optimistic, but I also know that we kind of just got to get over some parts of it.
The thing, and maybe I'm being utopian here, Shibani, but we know they can control the algorithms. We know that what's happening ultimately in the end is it's making us angrier and more divided. Can't they make the algorithms? Is that the only way to profit? Is that their best way to profit?
There are some algorithms. I mean, there's other things the company can do is it can develop new products. It can connect us in different ways. I mean, part of what it is catalyzing on is this addiction factor. And when you start to have conflict and embroiled heat and a divisiveness within the platform, it allows you to, and it makes you want to go back to the platform. That stickiness is what they're looking for and is a key metric in terms of success on a business basis.
All right, business and tech journalist Shibani Joshi, good to see you again. Thanks for the time as always.
Thank you.
A new Katie Couric tell-all reveals the former anchor may have intentionally given News Nation's own Ashley Banfield the cold shoulder earlier in her career. Ashley's going to join us live to set the record straight on their relationship and also the importance of empowering women. A new bill in Wisconsin could ban certain language in the classroom, and not the words you might expect. Why a Republican lawmaker is coming after the terms woke, whiteness, and equity. That's ahead.
Why do women think there's no room at the top? They all think it's this apex that you're just going to get boinked right off of if anybody dares to climb higher. But the truth is, it is massive. There is a giant space, big flat spot right at the top where we can all lift each other up and help each other out. And it's true what Kennedy once said, that a rising tide floats all boats.
That was News Nation's own Ashley Banfield, host of Banfield, responding to comments reportedly made by former news anchor Katie Couric. According to a Daily Mail article on Couric's upcoming memoir, Going There, Couric admits to freezing out Ashley because she thought helping her would be self-sabotage. Ashley joins us right now. And Ashley, my first thought was, when did you hear Katie Couric had a book coming out and you were in it? What was your reaction?
Yesterday, and I was pretty stunned, honestly. First of all, Joe, let's just be frank. When I was working at NBC, I was a nobody, and I didn't even think Katie Couric knew my name, let alone had any concerns about me. I was in another building at another network called MSNBC, the startup. But it turns out that, by your own admission, that wasn't the case.
Well, I think you're being modest, Ashley. I mean, you were clearly a rising star at the network, and you had made a name for yourself. But I think it does go to the question of your relationship with her. I mean, at that point, she said that she felt like maybe helping you or anyone else was self-sabotage. What was your relationship like with her? Did you consider her a mentor?
Well, you know, honestly, I didn't really have a relationship with her. We worked on the Sydney Olympics at the same time. We crossed paths a few times. We did some interviews together. You could see some of the pictures on the screen show that we did, you know, have a little interplay. But I didn't get the impression directly that there was a concern about me to the point where she needed to take some kind of a action of elbowing me out.
Yeah, you know, the thing, I'm sure you're the same way, but I look back on my career and so many people have helped me, and I've done my best to help others as well. I'm sure you have too. What does this say, though, about sort of empowerment in the workplace, especially for women?
So I think there are a couple dynamics at play, Joe, and I'll bet you did not have the same experience in the 90s that I did. I bet you weren't called a bimbo regularly. Women were. We all went through it, no matter what. And we always felt that we had to do twice as much to get half the recognition. I don't feel the same way now. I don't think that's the case now, thank God. But I also think that in network news, there were only a few stars. In cable news, there were lots of stars. And so things were different in cable. We all felt like we were equals. And I think in the networks, they felt that these were coveted positions. They were hard fought for. And it was not easy to see others swimming close by. So I get it. Listen, in the 90s and the 2000s, Katie saw other women, and we were expendable. At 40, we were told, better find another job, girl.
Well, we're glad we found you, that's for sure. Ashley, stand by for us, will you? Because we're going to talk a little bit more about Brian Laundrie and the search for him. And to do that, we're going to bring you back. But meantime, we're going to shift and bring in our own Brian Entin for the latest on the search. So, Brian, I understand the FBI was back at the house again today.
Yeah, Joe, another surprise today. We were camped outside the house about 1 o'clock this afternoon. A black SUV shows up, the same SUV we saw last time the FBI pulled in. They pull in, 2 agents come out. They go right into the house with a big, full brown paper bag. We're not exactly sure what was in the paper bag. They brought that into the house. They were in the house for about 10 minutes. They came out, and then it got really interesting. They went to this camper that you see right behind me. They went inside the camper. They had a small little plastic tube that they put something inside, came out of the camper, back in the SUV, and they were gone. The entire thing took about 30 minutes.
So, Brian, I'm also hearing about phone calls to police that involved the Laundrie family home there. What can you tell us about those?
So today we put in an open records request. We got all of the police reports regarding this house, the Laundrie house behind me, but most of them were redacted, so we didn't get a lot of specific information, but the times and dates were interesting. For example, September 10th, the day before Gabby was reported missing, there were 2 911 calls and police incidents at this house. The day after Gabby was missing, there were 3 different police calls from the house that are all in the log. Again, unfortunately, it's all been redacted because of the FBI investigation, so we don't know the specifics.
Ashley, let's bring you in on these late developments and get your take. And I also wanted to ask you, Ashley, about this camping trip that we've heard about a lot. I mean, to me, the obvious question is, this happened at a critical time. He comes back in Gabby's van without her much earlier than anyone expected. You just wondered, the parents must have said, wait a minute, where is she? What happened?
Yeah, you really do think that there's no way that it was a quiet trip. There was conversation. I'm also, honestly, super fascinated by the revelation that Mrs. Laundrie actually changed the reservation. And she changed it before her son made it home, before September 1st.
Stayed another day, right?
Yeah, and changed it not to have her son and fiance come and join them on the camping trip. No. She changed it to just have her son come and join her on the camping trip. So she clearly, before that young man even crossed that license plate reader in Florida on the 1st of September, she knew he was coming back by himself because she changed the reservation to have just him come camping.
What do you make of all these calls to police, Ashley?
Well, there could be a lot of reasons, and I know Brian Entin has watched some of the activity out in front of that house. People come out of the woodwork. I would not be surprised if there were some swatting episodes, which is people doing naughty things to try to toy and troll the Laundries. I also think that the Petitos probably called 911 to say, we don't know what to do. It's September 10th. We cannot get through to these people, and they're the last people that, would have knowledge of our daughter. That's a potential call on the 10th as well. And then I think there might have been, look, Brian has witnessed all of these episodes out on the lawn. I think either neighbors or even the Laundries themselves may have called 911 to say, help, it's getting crazy out there. Apart from that, I think there's some legitimate calls that came in where there might have been tips and the police showed up.
Yeah, well, it was early on in the investigation, though, but curious nonetheless. Brian Entin and Ashley Banfield, great to have you both. Take care. Thanks for the time.
You bet, Joe. Thanks.
You can see more of Ashley tonight on Banfield, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, right here on News Nation. Hope you're not planning on mailing too many Christmas cards this year, and if you are, you might want to get on it. soon. The U.S. Postal Service planning to slow down some mail delivery. And joining us now for more on that, News Nation's Janelle Fort. Janelle, it's good to see you. We talked about this in the afternoon meeting, and most of us don't really use the Postal Service too much. We get deliveries, of course, and it's obviously critical for a lot of rural areas. But how is this going to impact people?
Joe, it's one of those things you don't really realize how much people use USPS for. That's your bills, things like passports, your items from small businesses you may have purchased online, magazines, prescription drugs. All of these things are now moving from a delivery window of 2 to 3 days to now up to 5 days. So that means things like your wedding invitations, getting an RSVP for them, getting your unemployment check, getting the money from your child tax credits and things like that could also take longer because of this new delivery window. And the plan, it also reduces the times that post offices are open. It's also going to add on a hike to prices during the peak holiday season. That's going to start this Monday. It's going to run to the day after Christmas, so December 26th. And really, this is one of those things where, as you said, it's going to have the biggest impact on people who live out in the boonies and those hard to reach addresses. And then you also have to remember that USPS is the cheapest way to mail or send something. So it's also going to impact people who are on that lower income scale. So the agency, it says that this is only going to impact about 39% of all of the packages and mail that's being sent out. But again, that's those people that live in the boonies, and that's those people who may be mailing something that travels longer distances. But it's something, especially as the holidays approach, that we're all going to have to keep an eye on, Joe.
Right. A couple quick questions, Janelle. Is this an effort to save money? And is there a chance this impacts package deliveries like Amazon that you just touched on?
Well, only Amazon packages that are delivered through USPS.
Right.
If it's delivered through Amazon's, regular delivery service, then no. If it's done through UPS or FedEx, then no. And then on top of that, to answer your other question, this is a part of a 10-year plan done by USPS. This is an agency that's been struggling financially for years, and it's only been exacerbated by the pandemic. So looking into the next decade, USPS was on par, projected to lose about $160 billion. So they're feeling like these cuts may be able to scale some of that back and get them on a better revenue stream.
All right. Janelle Fort, thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
You too, Joe.
Now you're looking at the red, white, and blue. But what if the American flag were redesigned today? Would Americans even want it changed? We have a few new versions, and we'll get a veteran's take on that. And there's drama brewing in New England after a new book reveals juicy details between Patriots coach Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. We'll dive into that with a former New England Patriot who's running for Senate. That's all ahead. Here's a new one. A Wisconsin Republican lawmaker is pushing to ban certain language in the classroom, and it's not the usual four-letter suspects either. Some of the words in question: woke, although that's a four-letter word, I guess, social justice, whiteness, equity, and other terms that find their way into regular classroom conversations, such as multiculturalism. So you get the idea. Joining me now to talk about this, Democratic strategist Rochelle Ritchie and former Texas State Rep Rick Green. Rick, let's start with you. I kind of did a double take on this headline. I thought, when did Republicans become the party of the offended?
Yeah, man, I agree with you totally. It's never a good idea to solve a problem by going with the Orwellian Ministry of Truth and saying that certain words cannot be used to describe things. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. And it's been the left that's been trying to stop certain speech for the last few years. I think people on the right are frustrated. They're looking for ways to stop this. Look, I'm all for the transparency part of this bill where they're saying, hey, put the curriculum on the website, let parents know. But we need bigger solutions than banning words. We need school choice. Let parents have the power to take their kids out if they don't like the poison that is often being taught in these classrooms. So transparency would help to solve this, and the free market would absolutely help solve it.
This goes, Rochelle, to a much bigger picture, and that is the ability to debate. I mean, that's what a lot of education is all about, isn't it?
It is, and it's unfortunate that it seems that too many Republicans right now are more focused on historical fiction than actual fact. And that's having a really detrimental impact on our educational system right now. I mean, even in the state of Texas, I think it was 2010, where they revised the curriculum to take out the word slavery and different things like that, or at least make it appear that slavery was not the main cause of the Civil War. And it was 8 years until they revised that language. And it seems to me that Republicans are going back to a method that was used by the Daughters of the Confederacy, where they basically rewrote history to romanticize the Civil War and Confederate soldiers. And that's exactly what they're doing now.
Rick, the issue on this, too, is that it's, I guess, the censorship issue for Republicans, which they've been on the forefront of and pushed, and I guess against a lot of the cancel culture, yet this is something they appear to want to cancel.
Yeah, let's be clear. The record for Republicans has been up until these attempts on CRT to actually have complete transparency. Teach the truth. I disagree with Rochelle's take on the Texas curriculum. Texas curriculum has been designed to make sure that we teach the truth about the racist Democrats in American history. It was the racist Democrats that had the Jim Crow laws, the white-only primaries, fought for slavery. We've tried to make sure those things are actually taught. The KKK was an arm of the racist Democrats. And so we're all for teaching those things in the classroom. We think it's important to teach the good, the bad, and the ugly. We need to learn from all of our history, not have a distorted view of that history. Teach the truth. America is flawed, created by flawed men and women, just like you and me. But somehow, some way, God used those flawed men and women to create the greatest, most powerful, most free, most benevolent nation in history. So we should teach our sins, but also teach the good of this country as well.
It's interesting to hear that point, Joe. The Texas curriculum was redesigned. We cannot, again, this is ignoring facts. In 2010, they literally changed their curriculum, and it took 8 years until 2018 for them to actually revise their curriculum to start telling the truth about chattel slavery in this country. And look, at the end of the day, it's not a Democrat or Republican responsibility. It was racist people in this country that implemented the Jim Crow, that implemented chattel slavery. And so I know Republicans love to blame Democrats for all of this, but again, this is also ignoring the Southern strategy as well.
All right, we need to shift gears.
Was it Democrats or not? I mean, that's, you know, you can't ignore the history. Was it the Democrat Party that has always been the racist party in American history or not? Republican Party was formed to end slavery.
Should CRT be taught, Rick? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think you got to look at what's the essence of what's being taught, not specific words. So if you're teaching kids to hate each other, to hate themselves, to hate their country based on skin color, that's evil, it's poison, it's Marxist, it's wrong. And so rather than keying in on specific words, look at what they're teaching and let the parents decide if that's something they don't want in their local school district. I do think the state, if it's paying for education, has a duty to set goals of what education will do or not do. It's meant, we formed public education in virtually every state in our state constitutions to have good citizenship, to teach people about our history, to teach patriotism, not to teach them to hate their nation, but to understand that America, when we had slavery, the entire planet had slavery. So to try to single America out or act like America invented slavery is foolish and wrong. And let's not forget that the first slave owner
running out of time here, Rick.
was a black man.
Let's give Rochelle the last word.
I want to make it very clear to the viewers that chattel slavery is a different form of slavery. Chattel slavery was practiced in the United States of America. Yes, slavery did happen all over the world, but chattel slavery is completely different. So again, this is, people not understanding the historical context and misleading with the facts.
All right, we got to go. Time is up, but we appreciate both Democratic strategist Rochelle Ritchie and former Texas State Rep Rick Green for their time. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes, the red, white, and blue, the American flag. It's had a lot of nicknames, but when you see it, you know exactly what it represents: democracy, freedom, and the dream to create your own destiny. Well, now the New York Times is offering a different take on the American flag. Asked artists and graphic designers to redo the flag if it were designed today. And the new designs focus on a range of identities, from unity, our future, untapped potential, saving our planet, to a shared acknowledgement of our country's past, repairing systemic racism, Black Lives Matter, and more. For his take on redesigning the American flag, we welcome in Army veteran and patriot in more ways than one, Jake Beckett. Jake also, we mentioned more than ways than one. He was a member of the New England Patriots and running for a Senate seat in Arkansas as a Republican. So, Jake, it's good to have you. First of all, Tell us what the Stars and Stripes mean to you, and do you think America would embrace a change to the flag?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And, the American flag is very special to me because I wore that flag on my shoulder when I deployed to Iraq, the 101st Airborne Division, when I served in the U.S. Army. And I think it's ridiculous to even consider changing it. But the Democrats, radical elements in the Democrat Party, have been pushing for fundamental transformation of this country for many years. And we're seeing evidence of that in attempts to change our flag. We're seeing evidence of that in trying to create a new national anthem they're playing before certain sporting events. Look, if Democrats are telling us they want to fundamentally change the US of A, we should believe them and we should fight back against it. Look, I put everything on the line for that flag, and it should stay exactly the way it is.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's going to be changed or that anyone wants it to. I think it appeared to be more of an exercise in creativity. But we have so much we want to talk to you about, Jake. Let's move on to a real serious issue here, and that's active duty deaths from suicides. They've increased over the last 5 years. I saw where there have been 30,000 current and veteran service members who've died and taken their lives since 2001. What can we do more about this?
Well, you're exactly right. It's a serious crisis in this country. As many as 22 veterans per day are taking their own life. And it's something that's very close to my heart. Some good friends of mine here in Central Arkansas have started a veteran support charity to help support down and out veterans. And to me, running for U.S. Senate, this is a marquee issue because, look, as some elements in the Democrat Party want to have no borders, totally open immigration, they want to bring in unvetted migrants from overseas. We can't even take care of our own military veterans.
Right.
So I think the resources of this country should be directed towards supporting those like our veterans, tens of thousands of those who are homeless, who are destitute, who are out of work, suffering from mental health issues. We should be helping those folks before people who are not American citizens.
Jake, we're up against the clock, 30 seconds, and I hate to leave you with just that, but were you surprised to hear how much Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's relationship had deteriorated in this new book?
Well, I haven't read the book, but I can say I was very blessed to be a very small part of that franchise. Look, Coach Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not sure what differences they had, but I'm looking forward to a great game on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Hey, Jake Beckett, it's good to have you. Thank you very much. Next time we'll have you on and talk more about your run for the Senate. Take care.
Take care.
Being a police officer and keeping the public safe, often a thankless job. Coming up, how a New York City woman is showing her appreciation. When's the last time you wrote a thank you note? It's a bit of a lost art with emails and texts, but a New York woman's making up for all of us. She's saying thank you to New York's finest. Coretta James lives in Queens, and for the last 4 years, she's handed out handwritten thank you notes to more than 4,000 police officers in all of the city's 77 precincts. James says there are 36,000 cops, so I have a lot of writing to do. Coretta James gets our American Snapshot tonight. That is our time. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. On Balance is next.